Well, here we are at Sesame Place San Diego for one last trip down Sesame Street before they close for the season, which now, unfortunately, as you may have heard by the time that this video is out, that Sesame Place has turned to a seasonal schedule, which means they actually won't be opening until May. So we're gonna pass by here. Big Bird is doing his story time right now. Got lots of fans and friends ready to meet him afterwards too. They have the queue line for it too afterwards, which is really nice. They added this since the last time I've been here, where the queue line is now on this side of the nest compared to how it used to be on the right side in front of Sunny Day Cafe. So, but yeah, the whole premise behind this video is we are going to talk about the news that has happened, some of the things that I have heard, and you know, let's just really talk about potentially the future of Sesame Place here for next year and going forward. So there's a few things that I just wanted to bring up, things that I know, and clarify some of the rumors that have been going around too as well too that I know. So, but yeah, also just enjoying one last stroll through the neighborhood. So unfortunately, here's some news. My favorite ride here, a dry ride at least, Super Grover's Boxcar Derby is closed on the final weekend. Unfortunately, there were some maintenance issues and they were not able to get it open for the final weekend, which is unfortunate. Water park wise, for the most part, everything else is open. Oscars, of course, has remained closed and it's been closed. I don't think it opened at all this season. I'm pretty sure it didn't open at all last season. So I think that's 2 seasons in a row in which Oscars has not been open. Also, I do know that the Soar and Spin, the teacup Dumbo-esque ride in the sky, is closed as well too. That as well as maintenance issues that they weren't able to resolve before the final weekend, unfortunately. So I was really hoping to try to get a ride in on all the rides one last time before it closed, but oh well. There is a parade later today. We won't be here long enough to see that. This is just a quick video for a couple hours. And there is one more show, Welcome to Our Street, that's playing a little bit later. We won't be able to catch that because we gotta do some other stuff. So we're gonna do one last stroll, walk around, check it all out, and then talk about what's going on with Sesame Place. All the restaurants are open. Delish Victoria, Oscar's Grub, and the Monster Snacks are open. Oh, I don't remember guest service. I think that's new, the little gazebo patio or awning on top of them. Cookie Climb is open. And Big Bird's Beach, the wave pool, is open. Oh, I didn't notice. Okay. There's a couple cabanas being used, but I noticed that they really removed a lot of the cabanas over on that side of the park, or that side of the wave pool. I noticed that. That's interesting. A lot of people enjoying one last weekend.
You want a snack?
Of Sesame Place. Pretty good amount of crowd. When I came into the parking lot, I was actually surprised to see how many people were here giving one last final kiss to Sesame Place. Because we will admit, they are supposed to reopen in May of 2026, but I'm also hearing grumblings about opening, maybe a big question mark. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Big Bird's Beach Bites is closed for the final weekend, and it looks like they got some sun fading going on here. Rosita's Harmony Hills is still active and going. Not many people enjoying it at the moment. The water slides, for the most part, most of them are open. Snuffy spaghetti slides. Usually, even at their fullest point, all the slides weren't fully open. Like they would open like half of the slides in each of the sections here. So let's take a look here. Like, oh no, actually, looks like all of them have one running water. The 2 open ones and the 4 closed ones look like they're all available. You got Abby's Magical Swings, her flight. That, of course, is one of the dry rides that's usually open all year round. Oh, they removed the carnival games. Look at that. Those carnival games that used to be here are either gone or moved. I can't tell right now, but I'm okay with that because those carnival games, I mean, they're hard to win. So this might be giving some more space for potential, like, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. We'll talk about it in the video a little bit later, but like this is area in which this could potentially be turned into a dry ride area. And by dry ride, I mean pretty much anything that doesn't involve water, right? None of the slides, whirlpool, wave pools, anything of that nature. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that Sesame Place has an issue with, is that there is once you close the water slides, there's not enough to really be done here at the park to warrant it being open all year round. You need to have more dry rides, more things, both small thrills, medium thrills, ideally even a few big thrills for some of the bigger kids here to keep audience coming year after year after year. So I'm hoping that they're making room, potentially. That might be a sign of some room happening to bring in a new ride. Got one last showtime at 12:45 today at the Sesame Street Theater. Looks like Bert and Ernie slides were closed for the weekend, or maybe they've been closed for a while because that pool looks relatively dry. So I have a feeling that it's been closed for a while. In full disclosure, I haven't been to Sesame Place. Well, the last time I went here was in May, opening day of the park season, for a full video. But since then, I've only visited the park one time when everything for the most part was open, except for Oscars. So, but I didn't do a video on that one. That was just for fun. So I don't know exactly when Bert and Ernie's closed. The pool did look relatively dry. The slides look pretty dirty. Like they weren't just closed last week. They've been closed for a while, so. Walking to the far corner over here, Oscar's Ride and Rafts, again, closed for the season. Honker Dinker Dash, open. Obviously, Oscar's Ride and Rafts have been closed, like I said, I think for the last 2 seasons. Everyone keeps saying that as regards to parts, maintenance that needs to be done on the slide. But it has to do, from what I understand, it has to do with the conveyor belt that brings the rafts up to the top. And this one is just purely just my thoughts on it. My honest thought is that their Sesame Place wants to tear this ride down. I've talked about this before in a video where they want to take this area right over here, which is quite a bit of a good space area, and put a larger attraction, put a couple attractions. I don't know exactly how many, what they can do, but I have a feeling that they want to tear this ride down. So when they keep saying about maintenance needs to be done, there's parts that need to be missing, I think it's more of dragging their feet until they figure out what they want to do with this corner. I honestly think that the one time I ever rode Oscar's Ride and Raft, which is like an opening day, I think that was the only time I'm ever going to get to ride it. And I think it's going to be demolished. That's my personal take on it. And they're going to put something in there, which again, if it's dry rides or something really exciting, I think that's really good. I know that there was always talk about when Sesame Place first opened or was about to open, that they did want to put an actual like theater, like an indoor theater. Because obviously we got the Sesame Street Theater over there, which is outdoors. It's not even really covered or anything like that. And they wanted to put a real proper small theater that could be AC with stadium seating, all that good stuff. And this could have been the space where they do it. But I think that idea got flipped. And now they had to figure out what they're going to do with this ride. One, I really do think it breaks down. I really do think that. I think there's legitimacy to it. But I don't think they want to invest the money back into the ride when not a lot of people enjoyed the ride to begin with. And then that's a lot of space that they can use to build something else. Like they could put really one big attraction in there or a couple attractions. I know I talked about that there's this one theme park in Spain that has like a taxi cab ride where you're like with like Detective Grover or something like that, and you're using taxi cab. I think it's a fun family dark ride. I think it can fit well and do well in that corner of the spot. The Rambling River is open on the final weekend, and you can see over there that Count Splash Castle is open as well too. And then I just see Elmo's Sands Castle slides are open on over there. So also came because I wanted to make some last memories with some of the characters here. I know Abby and Elmo, of course, are going to be here. Definitely going to say hi and bye to them one last time before the season. Some ambassadors that are working here today, I'm going to say goodbye to them before they leave. I do know that all the part-time and full-time staff have been given opportunities at SeaWorld San Diego to work. So they're all going to be, given shifts, hours to work at SeaWorld San Diego. The unfortunate part too is that especially for the part-timers, there's no guarantee of how many hours and what shifts and everything. But of course, SeaWorld is relatively open and decently busy throughout the whole season. So I'm sure they can find a space for them as well too. And then some of the upper management, they will be working with the SeaWorld team in conjunction. Sesame Place itself still has to take, you can't close it and turn off the switch and lock the key, and that's about it, right? You have to do some work. So there's going to be a tear down, breakdown, getting it ready for you. It's hibernation, for lack of a better word. And then of course they'll be back again here about a month or two prior to the reopening in May to get the park ready for the next season. I think my friend Abby is going to be meeting here very shortly. So I think she's going to meet in her fairy garden, which is I think the most appropriate place to say hello and goodbye one last time, right? Here she is. And now it is time to say hello and goodbye, unfortunately, I know, to one of my favorites, Miss Abby Cadabby, the magical dancing fairy we love so much. She loves to dance so much, that's what we call her Twinkle Toes. You know, look at that, loves to dance. But Abby, I do hope to see you at least in a few months, I think, right? You're gonna do some vacation, go hang out with the folks and some family, go back to, well, you know, and play with other fairies, right? And then you'll be back real soon so we can go on Cookie's Monster Mixer, right? Yes, because I'm too scared for that slide, but with her around, I'm brave enough to do it. Wonderful. Well, oh, I know, I'm gonna miss you, Abby. I'm gonna miss you. We're gonna sneak in here and say hi to Elmo, because he's the other character doing meet and greets right now at the very moment. So let's go inside and say hi to him and goodbye at the same time. Hey Elmo, how you doing, buddy? You doing well? I had to come visit you. I know, the final day before all the monsters go on vacation for a few months. I know, I'm heartbroken just as much as you are. I know. But you know what that means though, right? That means when you get back, we get to go on Cookie's Monster Mixer all day, every day, and then, yeah, exactly, and then we're gonna go eat at the Sunny Day Cafe and have all the cupcakes we can have. Well, if there's any cupcakes and cookies left, you know, Cookie Monster might beat us to it.
That's true.
You know, so anyway, I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I had to, you know, come and say hello and goodbye one last time. But we're gonna pull through. We get to go visit our monster friends and family back home, right? You get to spend all that quality time with Rocco. I know how much you love Rocco. No? No, not so much. We're working on. Okay, how about Tango? Tango works. Tango works very well. Even though Rocco, I think, is a pretty cool guy, but I don't know what's Elmo's problem with Rocco. No, bad luck. Anyways, you pinky promise you're gonna be back in a few months. Pinky promise, monster pinky promise. Thank you very much. Now that we got our monster meet and greets out of the way, let's go find a good spot and talk about the going-ons here at Sesame Place, California, and for the foreseeable future in 2026. So let's sit down and actually talk about Sesame Place San Diego. Please excuse me, I wrote down my notes here on my phone here. This is more just going to be kind of like a unfortunately one-sided conversation, but really just talking about some of the things that we know for sure and some of the things that I have heard both from people who work with SeaWorld / Sesame Place and some of the rumors that are going online here, and just trying to gather all the information I can to make some known decisions, some conjecture, and some thoughts and hypotheses for the potential future here at Sesame Place. So we're really going to start off with what we know for sure. So today is Sunday, September 21st. The announcement was made back this past Monday, in which Sesame Place is closing and readjusting their schedule to that of a seasonal schedule. This is actually the quote from the social media post here that was made 5 days ago. Sesame Place will transition to a seasonal schedule, making every visit filled with more excitement, attractions, and activities to enjoy. By focusing on our most popular time of year, we can deliver the best possible experience from the moment guests arrive until the moment they leave. The park's final operating day for this season will be Sunday, September 21st, and we look forward to welcoming friends and families back in spring of 2026. To honor current 2025 season pass holders and ensure continued value, the park is providing each pass holder with a complimentary SeaWorld Fun Card valid through the remainder of the year. This added benefit offers unlimited admission to SeaWorld and access to seasonal events, including Halloween Spooktacular and Christmas Celebration. There has been no other real official mention from SeaWorld and or Sesame Place. So, and just going further, if I say SeaWorld, I'm really meaning Sesame Place and vice versa, because obviously they're all owned by United Parks and Resorts out of Orlando, Florida. So, you know, I may mix the two around, but you know what we're talking about. So those with Sesame Place passes will receive a SeaWorld Fun Card for the remainder of the year, not including 2026, just for 2025. And remember, there's a Sesame Place pass and a SeaWorld pass. There are options for you to get both. There is a fun card that you can get Sesame Place and SeaWorld. It doesn't give you any discounts or anything, but it gives you admission to both places. Then there's, like myself, I'm an elite pass holder or a platinum pass holder with SeaWorld. Because of that, I get admission to all of the SeaWorld and United Parks resorts. So if I go to Orlando SeaWorld, if I go to Busch Gardens and all that, I can go visit those no problem, including Sesame Place, which is why I come visit, because it's part of my admission. So the whole closure, giving a fun car, refunds, anything, that doesn't affect me because I pay into my pass for SeaWorld regardless. Single day ticket holders have an option to rebook for 2026 or switch their ticket to SeaWorld or receive a refund. Again, those are only for single day ticket holders. For those who said, hey, I bought a single day ticket or a double day ticket to go to Sesame Place in October, and now that's not happening anymore. So you have the option to get a refund and or transfer it to SeaWorld if you want to do it that way. And you can send an email to, I'll put it here on the screen, but spc-guestcorrespondence@seaworld.com. That is the best place to send for possible refunds, questions, etc. That's the best place to send your stuff. So honestly, if you are affected by this whole closure, I recommend sending them an email. That seems to be the best way of form of communication. They are a little bit behind from what I'm seeing on comments, that people have sent multiple emails and still haven't received a reply back. But prior to that Monday, Sesame Place was still going to have their operating hours, which was the weekends running through the end of September, October, November, December, leading all the way up until the reopening full-time of the park, which is usually in about March, April, May, springtime area, right? Usually there's kind of like a gradual increase of opening, where once we hit March, which is the beginning of the water park season, you see going from weekends to most of the week to finally, once Memorial Day kicks off, that is the true start of summer, where it's now open every day for usually extended period of hours. So because of the abruptness here, they went from being open for Halloween and Christmas to not happening at all, and we're closing, and now you only have one more weekend, which is this weekend, to visit. Many employees, personally, that I spoke to and commented, actually said that my post or me talking to them was actually the first time they actually even heard about Sesame Place being closed. So unfortunately, the communication, like I said, was very abrupt, and there wasn't a lot of communication coming down. Apparently there was phone calls and emails sent afterwards, but it was kind of too little too late at that point. Social media already took rampant, and a lot of people found out through secondhand information, which is unfortunate. Employees, though, are given full-time and part-time, were given shifts at SeaWorld, but of course there is no guarantee of how many hours, longevity, and so forth. Full-time employees are going to be full-time at SeaWorld still, but they they're going to be working in different departments, sharing capacities, and then the thought is that some of the management full-time staff will be coming back to Sesame Place on the reopening side of things. Obviously, even though the park will be closed to the public after today, the park itself takes a little bit of time to fully close down, break down, and get ready for its, what I'm going to call, hibernation season. And then, of course, on the swing thing, to get the park open, it's going to take about a month or two prior to the park opening to get the park up and ready for the summer season. So a lot of those full-time guys are going to be going to SeaWorld for a little bit and then come right back, is my guess. The part-timers are going to give us shifts like as ambassadors in different departments. Entertainment, hopefully we'll be moving to entertainment at SeaWorld and so forth. But again, there is no promise, no guarantees with regards to longevity or hours or whatever the case may be. At this point, a lot of things are still up in the air in a balancing act. But a lot of these conversations that we have with employees, we're leaving them a lot of with speculation, doubt, what's going to happen. A lot of conversations being held, we're using words like possibly, could be, if, a lot of unknowns, a lot of doubts. Like a lot of management didn't know the future of what's going to happen with the park. So it kind of lends you to believe, like, could this possibly be the end? Could this be the final day of Sesame Place? And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I do have some thoughts about that. But regardless, however you think about it, the abrupt closure of Sesame Place doesn't really leave a good taste in anyone's mouth, unfortunately. So why is Sesame Place closing to a seasonal operational schedule? In truth, it comes down to just costs. They're not making as much probably of a profit, if that, as they probably thought it would be. So first of all, the history of this water park. This water park is under its third ownership, I believe, originally back in the 90s when it was its original owner. I think it was like Rivers of America or something like that, I forget. And then they sold to Cedar Fair, which then turned this area into Not Soak City, which was there for many years. And then it got sold from Cedar Fair to United Parks / SeaWorld, which turned this into Aquatica for about a decade, and then of course turned it into Sesame Place as we see it now today. It's always been consistently a water park. The same slides are here, the same attractions, obviously been modified, rethemed, depending on the capacity of the water park theming, but for the most part, these food stations have been here, these slides behind me have been here, some have been added throughout the years, but for the most part, it's always been a water park as you see it. And I personally have come to all the holiday events, Christmas, Mardi Gras, the Halloween special that's going on. We had the Friends weekends and all the little things that they've had in between. I've gone to pretty much most of them, if not all of them, and had great times. I enjoyed it, and I've done it for the channel here. But when it's not a water park day, when you're not here for the water park and not even half, actually, the vast majority of the park is closed due to refurbishment, water temperature, whatever the case may be, it really is a ghost town in here. It's unfortunate. Lines are non to nil. I mean, a couple minutes maybe if you had to wait, but you just wait 5 minutes and you're on a ride, if that. Usually they only do one parade, one show, maybe not even a parade. It might be just the cavalcade, which has the floats going through. There's still not that much of a draw. There's still not that much. A lot of people come here, that, like especially during the off season, what I've noticed, and this is purely anecdotal, is that a lot of the people who come are like the moms, the dads with little kids. The kids want to come and ride a ride or two. They spend an hour or two here at the park total, and then they leave. They ride the Rub-a-Dub Sub 5 times in a row because that's their favorite ride. They see Elmo, they give a hug to Abby, and then they're done. Not really spending a lot of time nor money inside the park. Obviously, the water slides are closed, so they can't enjoy them. But also, the ones who come down here tend to be a little bit younger, so they wouldn't even be enjoying the water slides really to begin with. They would be enjoying the dry attractions, the character meet and greets, the dance parties, the cookies with Cookie Monster, those types of things. But that's not sustainable if you want to have an all year long operational theme park. That's the problem. A water park is a seasonal operational park. A theme park and amusement park can be a year-long operation, but that's where the conundrum comes into play here at Sesame Place. There's a crisis, there's an identity crisis here, essentially, in my opinion. Of course, you got the cost of running the park every day. You have to pay for the food, you have to pay for the maintenance, you have to pay for the ambassadors that work here, you got to pay for potentially the lifeguards if it's water park season. You have to, you have to manage, you have to pay for the lights, you got to pay for the electricity, you got to pay for, everything, right? And everything, of course, costs $1, and costs are going up and up, as we know. No matter wherever part of the world you are, everything's going up in cost. How I kind of equate this to is like those large companies that they say, like, we're going to either file for bankruptcy, or maybe they're doing a restructuring, right? So they obviously are going to say, we're going to close 50 they have 200 stores in America, and they're going to close a quarter of them, so 50 stores are going to close, and the reason they do that is to cut costs, cut operational spending, cut the fat, and then they focus on those 150 stores now to help them be more profitable and sustain, right, longevity. So I kind of consider that the same type of vibe here, where Sesame Place is saying we can't afford to stay open all year round, so let's cut the fat on the far end when we know we're dead, and then just make the water park experience, the seasonal aspect of it, from May to September, the best part possible. And I'm giving them optimism there with that. And that leads me back into where I was talking about identity crisis. So when I say identity crisis, Sesame Place, are they trying to be a water park, or are they trying to be an amusement / theme park? Water park, amusement / theme park. Water parks, again, are only seasonal operational types of things. You go to other parts of the country, somewhere in the Midwest, Northwest, whatever the case may be, when it's warmer, spring, summertime, heading into the early parts of fall, there's water park seasons. They're open, then they close, and snow comes down and the fall leaves happen and they close off until springtime, right? And the families are here. That's not so much the case. They want to stay open all year round, but they try to keep the water parks as open, relatively late into the season, until September, but they close them afterwards, even though some of the parks here are warm water. And as well as, let's admit, in San Diego, it really doesn't get that cold. I have a pool at home that I enjoy all year round. It's not heated, but it's warm enough and cool enough at the same time for me to enjoy all year round. Are they a park for little kids, or are they a park for all ages? Obviously, they're Sesame Street. If you grew up on the street like I did, not literally, but metaphorically, Sesame Street, you enjoy these characters. I love Oscar, I love Abby, I love Elmo, I love characters. You know how much I love meeting characters in my videos I do. But I feel that there is a crisis here that when we have people who are currently the demographic for Sesame Street, that's 5, maybe 6, 7 under, right? Those years are not the ones that are going to be enjoying large slides, like Bert and Ernie's behind me over there, Snuffy's spaghetti slides. Obviously, they're not going to be enjoying Cookie's Monster Mixer or the Oscars Run Rats. They're not going to be enjoying any of those types of slides because those are going to be too scary. Heck, some of them are even too scary for me as a grown man. But that's where I think that they have the identity crisis, that if they want to have a water park is geared towards older kids. The theme park portion of it is geared towards little kids. So the longevity aspect to it, the little kids demographic is not going to sustain a year-long operation. A slightly older demographic, providing something for slightly older kids, like going into that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years range, that's going to provide longevity for the park. I've said this before in some Legoland videos, where Legoland has always been identified as a 12 and under park, always has. And they still maintain that goal, but now with the addition of the new space coaster that's happening in Spaceland, that's a mildly thrilling ride that's meant to entice slightly older kids outside of the normal demographic for Legoland people that come and gather. So that's where I think SeaWorld or Sesame Place needs to take a note from what Legoland's doing and implement it here into this park. And that's by making the main attractions not the water slides, but the dry attractions, by adding more dry attractions. As we know, the water park is the main attraction. The dry rides play second fiddle, right? But when you take away your first chair violin in the orchestra, now you're depending on the backups. What if the backups aren't that good, right? So that's where now, if you are going to close off the water park ride, you need to put in more dry attraction. Not only just the mild attractions, the little ones like a teacup spin or something like that, that's meant for all ages, but put in 1 or 2 or 3 bigger rides. Something that gives a little thrilling, something that an adult would enjoy riding, something that the I'm too cool for school preteens that are like, oh, Sesame Street's for babies. Yeah, Sesame Street may be for babies, the theming may be for that, but the ride is still fun. I'm going to use Sesame Place in Philadelphia for an example. That is in an area in which they run actually pretty much all year round. Though that place is a amusement / theme park first, water park second. They have the script correct. They have rides that are open all year round. They actually have some mildly thrilling rides. They actually have 2 really cool coasters. They have one that's like a longer version of Grover's Boxcar Derby. That seems to be actually even taller and longer, I think, based upon the videos I've seen. And then they have another one with like Oscar's Taxi Cab ride, which is an old school wooden roller coaster. Mild, not as large as like the big Little Dipper here at Belmont, but like, hills and decent. It's like a mini version of Ghost Rider from Knott's Berry Farm. And I'm like, that's a cool ride where, yeah, it's Oscar. Granted, I love Oscar. But yeah, it's Sesame Place or Sesame Street theme. I would not care going on that ride 100 because it's a cool ride to begin with. I don't care if it slapped Hello Kitty or Barbie on it. I don't care because it's a cool ride. So with some of the rides that they have here, they need to add more of them for the larger demographic. Cover that wide range of from 0 to 12. Because at this rate right now, you can only ride the Soaring Spin one, which is wide. You can only ride the Abby's Swings right behind me. That one's a relatively thrilling ride. Grover's Boxcar Derby, one of my favorite rides here, but it's a very mild. By the time you get up the hill, you're pretty much down. That's it. The ride's over. That also, first of all, needs to be a 2-looper, meaning that when you go on that ride, you need to go around twice, like they do Coaster Stories at Legoland. I don't know why they never did that, because that line is never there. It takes you longer to walk the queue to get to it than the actual ride itself. It's so ridiculous. So that should have been a 2-looper to begin with, no questions asked. But why they haven't done it, I don't know. Boggles my mind. Coming back to Philly, their focus is on the attractions, on the shows, on the entertainment. Granted, it's also kind of only the one real theme park within that area for a while. So here, there's a little more competition being in SoCal. You got SeaWorld 20 minutes north of us. You got Disneyland. You got Knott's Berry Farm within 2 hours drive. So there's a little bit more competition than like the East Coast does. But still, I mean, you take a note of what they're doing there in Philly and you bring it over here. I mean, there's people who absolutely despise Sesame Street, but they want to come here just for the water park attractions. Great, that's fine. I was just seeing some teenage kids over here. They don't care. I know they could care less about it being Sesame Street themed, but they enjoy the water park rides. Great, love it. So let's do the same thing, but with some dry rides or some dry attractions here that could keep those kids saying, you know what, hey, the water slide's closed, but I really love that roller coaster that they had there. I really love that VR simulator ride that they had there. Let's go on that ride, and then now you have people coming all year round. Now, you don't have to shift it to being open every day. I would love to have the park open every day, right? But at least during the off season, because you have attractions and options for people to enjoy, now you can have them come in on the weekends. You can have them come in on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have them come in on, if we have a large holiday weekend, and then you make it a 4 or 5 day weekend, you open just for that whole week right there, right? That's where myself personally, as someone who has been at Sesame Place many, many times, is I don't have kids. So if I didn't enjoy meeting the characters, I wouldn't spend more than, honestly, an hour here at this park. I don't purchase the food here. That's another thing we'll talk about in a second. I don't want to necessarily get wet here, but I want to do some of the rides or meet some attractions or see some of the shows. The show is the same show all year round, except for when they do the Christmas and Halloween show. It'd be nice to put in another show, because it has been running for 3 years now, being the same show every day. But I get it, don't really have the maybe the cast and crew capabilities for it. I don't know. I'm not a production person. But it just seems to be the same thing. The dance party is the same thing. They just put a different sticker on the back portion. Maybe the characters wear a costume, and boom, now you got a Christmas dance party. Now, boom, you got a Halloween dance party. But it's the same thing. There's a DJ playing spooky songs, and now there's a costume character. Fun and all, but I also think, agree or disagree here, San Diego is not really a water park town. We have beaches. We got other opportunities. I have a pool. A lot of my neighbors have pools. I know a lot of communities have community pools. A lot of people have pools, above ground, in-ground pools. Like, the accessibility to water is not very hard here in San Diego, right? Maybe for drinking, but, for entertainment purposes, perfectly fine. I mean, you even got SeaWorld that has water attractions there too, if you really want to get wet. So I think having a water park doesn't really have the same appeal and attraction as somewhere else in a state in which they might be landlocked, and yeah, they have lakes around, but no beaches, no real theme parks. Where a water park, if you own one of those, you make a killing, right? So I think culturally there's an issue here in San Diego with a water park. That's just my thoughts. I want to talk a little bit more about Philly. Philly, they are like I said, they are a theme park first, water park second. They actually have a total of 9 water attractions, but 20 dry attractions, so over 2-to-1 odds there. And they have kid rides, they have little kid rides, they got big kid rides, they got adult rides, the whole gambit of what I'm talking about. And they do the seasonal themed things, Halloween, Christmas, and whatnot. And their dry rides are year long. In fact, I believe the only time they're actually closed fully is like a time in between, like a few weeks in January and February, which I imagine, being in Philadelphia area, that it just snows and it gets too cold. But then even then, they open on weekends until they reopen full time, which lends into like April, May-ish time. So they open every day until about late fall, and then they go back to the weekend schedule, which is what here was trying to emulate. So I wonder, it's like, if they can emulate it there with their formula, why can't we emulate it here with that formula? And again, it's because we're focusing too much on the water park, not enough on the theme park side of things, which is unfortunately the lack of investment that United Park / SeaWorld / Sesame Place put into the park to begin with. They essentially took the original Aquatica and just slapped stickers on it. That's really all it was they did. The biggest thing that they did change-wise was all of Sesame Street up at the front, remaking that whole front area into Sesame Street proper. That was great. That was a cool thing, the interactive elements to it, which half the time aren't even working, unfortunately. That was nice. And of course, adding the dry rides of Sesame Street. But Beyond that is literally just slap a sticker and slap a sign. The slides that are around me are the same slides that have always been there. Now they just change it to more bright colors. They make it Bert and Ernie slides instead of whatever it used to be called. I think they used to be called like some sort of like Pacific Islander god animal kind of thing. We could talk about pricing, you know, and we're talking about pricing both for food, parking, and of course just getting in there. Currently right now, as of the date of this video, a single day ticket is roughly about $59 for an adult. There are specials in which you like buy a ticket, get a free ticket for like children. There was one where if you buy a $95 ticket, you get a free child. But again, if you don't have children or the ratio's off, you could buy a 4-pack for $46.25 each. That's not a bad deal. So regardless, whatever you splice it, you're paying about $50 to $60 to go to Sesame Place for one day, which is why a season pass then makes the best value, because a silver starts at $138, gold at $177, platinum at $276. Platinum again includes all the parks, SeaWorld and so forth. The silver and gold are only for Sesame Place. You can put a SeaWorld add-on to it, but those passes do include discounts for merchandise and food, and I believe they also do include parking, or maybe you have to add parking, I'm not 100% sure. They do have a 2-park season pass, which does not include parking or discounts, and it's just admission to here and SeaWorld, and that's for $199. So, you know, take it as you will. If you're going to pay $199, you might as well pay $276 and get all the platinum discounts and the free parking. That just makes sense to me, especially if you end up going to SeaWorld and or Sesame Place at least 3 or 4 times a year. If you're a SoCal San Diego resident, it makes sense. But really, you know, $60 to come in, you're pricing a lot of people out for what you're getting. You're getting 7 dry rides, 1 show that performs 1 time a day, a parade maybe. There is a cavalcade for sure that happens, you know, even during the off season. You do have character meet and greets, but you know, it depends. What's the ROI that you're looking for? If you're looking for rides, then the ROI is not there. If you want just water park, sure, it's there, it's fine. But I think the average price of about $60, that's still pretty tough. And then you have to provide food for yourself. You know, they won't let you bring in food here unless it's medicinal, or if you bring just like a small few items like snacks and everything. But if you come in here with a pizza or a big old lunch pail and everything, they won't let you come in. So that's what I've always told people is like, leave a cooler in your car with sandwiches and lunch, and then go have a picnic outside in your car, eat there. That's the best way to do it, I think, because I looked around the pricing of all the different restaurants today, and we're talking about double cheeseburger for $24.99, a pizza for the same price. Buffalo chicken tenders were like around $20, $21. Like, I'm going to put the pricing menu up here. It's like, so you're literally saying that for each person to have a meal, the average family unit of two adults and then 2.5 children. So let's round up to, let's just round down to 2. You're talking that the whole family, if they got their own individual meal, is going to be $80 minimum. Then you have to do drinks. Of course, you can get the refillable sipper for the day, which is I think $20, which is the best way to go if you do that. But if not, then you buy individual drinks or sodas or milks or juices. Maybe you'll share a meal. But regardless, you're still not going to be able to walk away with at least spending, you know, $50-ish, $60 on one meal. And you're probably going to end up eating 2 because you're here. So, I mean, that's quite a lot. Parking. I saw that the parking today when I came in. Obviously, again, I get free parking with my pass. But the parking pass rate, I mean, just general parking is $34. Up close parking, which is what I get for free, is $55. So additional $21 if you want up close parking. And if you want the VIP parking, it's $75. I'll tell you this right now. VIP parking and up close parking are pretty much the same thing. Yeah, there's like 20 spaces that are up close, really like literally up near the entrance of security that you can pay $75 for. But save the $20 and get the up close parking. Okay, if you really want up close parking. But then I would honestly tell you save the extra $21 on top of that and just do general parking, because their parking lot, especially if you get here early in the day, it's just on the left side of the entrance and they start filling from the front to the end. So if you get here early enough, you pretty much get the exact same distance as up close / VIP parking does. It only matters if you're here like on a Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, where it's going to be busy as can be, and you get here later, then at that point you may want to pay for the up close or VIP parking if it's available, because you might be at the far end of the lot. But even then, I don't justify paying, what would be the difference? $41 between general and VIP parking? That's a meal right there. I say a lot of doom and gloom here, but let's talk about some realistic aspects to it. So I give them my thoughts about some of the things they can do to really help themselves out, and the biggest thing is going to be expansion. Both physically, the footprint of Sesame Place, but then expansion when it comes to more attractions. That's, my opinion, going to be the best thing to do, is really they have to make an investment within the park to add these dry attractions, things that are meant for slightly older crowds. There are some limitations. I know there's lots of people say, why don't they just build around this whole area? Because there's a lot of land that's around. I mean, right over there, you got the old Coors Amphitheater, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, which concert venue, great. That's a seasonal one too. That only runs from I think like March up to like I think actually going to be closing pretty soon, like in October. Then the rest of the time, the parking lot fields around it are just completely closed and they overgrown with tall weeds and grass. The land around here is undeveloped, but the city of Chula Vista owns that land. And from what I understand, the city of Chula Vista does not really want to work with Sesame Place. I don't know what it is. Somebody must have just done something to their Cheerios in the morning. But Chula Vista, city of Chula Vista and Sesame Place just seem to, I don't know. Same thing with North Island Credit Union. I've heard rumors, grumblings that North Island Credit Union does not like Sesame Place or the water parks that have been here for years. Yeah, they take up parking spots. But the biggest thing is in that traffic flow, like during the summertime when there's a lot more concerts, you have people leaving the park and then people coming into the parking lots for the concerts, a lot of traffic flow, logistics and all that. So I would think that if North Island had their way, or the credit union, the amphitheater had their way, they wouldn't want Sesame Place here because Sesame Place doesn't add any value to them. They would rather have this place take it up and use it for parking or additional venue space, or I'm sure they would probably want to build like some sort of like restaurant venue over there so people can enjoy restaurants and foods and then come over to the concerts. I don't know. But for some reason, Sesame Place does not have the ability to invest in the land around them. I'm sure probably they have the ability to. They really work with the city, but of course everything costs green, right? Many ideas have been coming into play for Sesame Place. We had things like Oscar's Rod and Rafts, still not fixed. New attractions that were never added. There was talks about more dry attractions going to be added. Small ones, they were never added. There was supposed to be an indoor theater originally placed, kind of where Oscar's Rod and Rafts is. That never got placed. This was only a temporary theater. That was kind of like the afterthought. There was supposed to be a really like full-on like true theater, AC, seated inside, so that they could really make that a real production. This is, it works, but it's half, what it could have been. There's been many talks about them demolishing Oscar's Rod and Rafts as well as Cookie's Monster Mixer to take that land right there and build new attractions on it. There was talk about taking that one indoor ride that was like Grover's Detective Grover, the one that's in Spain. It's in a theme park in Spain. I thought that would be really cool, a really nice indoor with animatronics and everything. Yeah, it's a kiddie-friendly ride, but it's cool enough where even bigger kids would enjoy it because it's really cool. It's kind of like a points game, flash the light, help Grover find the bad guys type of thing. I thought it would be cool, but then again, nothing but talk, right? And larger slides need repairing, they need fixing. Sometimes when they open up the slides, only half the slides are open because they don't have the staffing for it, or they don't have they need to fix something about it. So it's just things like that where you could tell that they cut a dollar here, they cut a dollar there. They have blue sky dreams that end up just going away and staying there as blue sky dreams and never actually coming to fruition. And I think that closed mindset, and I'm not saying any fingers at anything in particular, because obviously I'm sure there's a lot of advocates for expanding and doing stuff for the park, especially probably the foot soldiers that are here working day in, day out. But there's something above that's just the upper management at SeaWorld / United Parks that's just telling people not to put money in here, which is very, 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 very unfortunate. And that's pretty much shooting yourself in not just one foot, but both feet, really. I said a lot of things here. Yeah, a lot of it kind of maybe a little bit more of a rant, and if you stayed along for the whole video, I truly appreciate it. And hopefully maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. I would love to know your thoughts. Please let me know. Send me a comment, shoot me a message. I would love to have a conversation with you, talk a little bit more about this one. Maybe you know something more about this than I do. Maybe you heard some grumblings or what's going on. Again, a lot of what I have talked about is either stuff that's public knowledge, things that have been admitted to and it's public record, things that I've talked to actual ambassadors, employees of Sesame Place and SeaWorld, and then of course just my own research I've done online, Reddit forums, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and just kind of my thoughts and opinion of, as someone who covers this park regularly, I kind of have a good feeling for how this water park is, right? So, but what is all of this going to mean here for 2026? So again, as of today, tomorrow, September 22nd, they are closing to general public, and they will now reopen until May. We actually do have the dates for when they will be open next year, and that is going to be, they will reopen May 23rd, and they are going to run every day, May 23rd through August 31st. Then what they'll do is that they're just going to do the first 3 weekends in September, and then close once again for the season, opening hopefully into 2027, which most likely will be a repeat of what we just saw. This is what's on their actual calendar online. If you were to buy tickets for 2026, it actually shows you the dates, again, opening on May 23rd, all the way till the first 3 weekends in September. This is what I think. I think they're going to do close, reorganize, open in May, and give a good college try on what 2026 could bring. If they see that there is some good numbers, they were profitable, maybe they broke even or at least didn't lose too much money, then I see them reopening again for 2027. If I see them losing too much money, or they just say, you know what, this is a lost cause, at that point I think we will say goodbye to Sesame Place in 2020 or end of 2026 season operations. A lot of people right now, just the vibe here, talking to some of my friends, ambassadors and whatnot, the vibe here has very much been a case of today's being treated like it's the final day. A lot of people have been hugging, kissing goodbye, heads hung low, and people are treating this like an unofficial, it's the last day. Because there's way too much doubt happening in everyone's mind, and that's from the top down. You know, management needs to do a little bit better of kind of wrangling it in. But there's already too much talk and vibe and gloom about this may be the final day. And I'll be 100% honest here, it would not surprise me. I don't think it's the final day. I really don't think so. But if they were to come back, and not the weekend before they were supposed to open, they definitely wouldn't do that. But I could see them saying something like turn of the year, going into like February, March, when people are starting to now get reamped up for like, oh, is the water park going to open soon? I could see them doing a memo saying, due to unfortunate reasons, we unfortunately are going to have to close. And they'll probably blame it on something about staffing or maintenance or not getting the park open available, but we all know what that really means. They're not open. So, again, do I think they're closing in 2026? No, I think they're gonna open, but it wouldn't surprise me if they just pull a quick one on us once more and do sorry guys, but we're gonna have to do this. It's just, you know, the fact that they gave a 1 week's announcement, and most of the people found out through social media, it just gives a bad taste in your mouth. It makes it kind of sound funny or smelly around you. You're like, something's up. It's I think what they should have done really is stay open till the end of the year, continue with your Halloween, Christmas, and then during that time frame, like maybe next month, you say we are going to change operations to seasonal starting next year. So you finish off 2025 as planned with the Halloween and Christmas stuff, and then you just say, okay, January, we're done, we're closed, and then we'll see you in May. I think that would have been the best way to do it because it gives people advance notice, and it doesn't sound as fishy like, whoa, all of a sudden we stop the presses. I got suspicious because when I was planning for the Count Spooktacular, the day before it was supposed to open, which was September 13th, last Saturday, I was planning, getting my, looking at the schedule to see what's available, and I noticed that the dates, the Spooktacular event logo was still there under events, but the dates were removed. Then I looked at the calendar, the schedule, no mention whatsoever of Spooktacular, but it was still being advertised on the website, so I was like, are they doing a delay opening, or are they doing something else? And I didn't think anything. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a glitch, maybe it's an error, so I waited until next weekend. And sure enough, come Monday, the announcement happens, and now I was like, oh, well, that explains why they took it off, because there was something smelly afoot. So, none of this is happy. I'm not happy to see this go. I want Sesame Place to be here for many years. I have a lot of friends here that work here. I've met through here. People that follow the channel. People who I've met who follow the channel, I've met here. And, Sesame Place, I've enjoyed this place. I really love it. I don't want to see this place go. But I also need to see this place make an investment. I need to see this place do something to help it longevity. Now, if the end goal is that they are just going to keep this as a seasonal water park place, so be it. That's fine. Then you stick with that direction and you go with it, but you still have to add on to it. You still need to add dry rides. You still need to add shows. You still need to add things that help people who are not just here for water parks. And then, maybe you continue with the weekends or whatever the case may be. You can't just, I'm very fearful that what's going to happen is that they're going to close, they're going to shut down everything, and then they're going to reopen come May, and there's not going to be a single thing done to the park. That, you know, they're going to put some fresh paint, dust the cobwebs off of some places, and that's going to be the extent of what they do in preparation for the park. That's what I'm fearful for. That it's just, they're just going to be sitting on our hands. We're not going to invest a single dollar outside of a couple buckets of paint and call it a day. If that is what they end up doing, then the writing's on the wall at that point. So, but again, I do really hope for the best. You know, if someone from Sesame Place Management or United Parks and Resorts sees this, I'm more than happy to talk to them. I would love to talk to them. Again, a lot of this was just my thoughts of gathering research, talking to some employees that work here, getting some feedback, some thoughts, and just my knowledge of history of what this park and the company is, and, you know, just thoughts and vibes. But again, if you agree with any of this, let me know. If you disagree with any of this, let me know. Give me a comment down below. What are some of the things that you are hoping to, you know, see changed in Sesame Place? What are some of the things that you're fearful for? Just let me know. I want to know your thoughts and opinions about what's going on here. And yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's a new type. Hopefully I wasn't boring and talking your ear off here. It was a new format, and I want to do a few more of these every so often. When I get the news. And if I also, again, if I hear anything new, I'll definitely follow up on this video on social media. But if you did like this video, definitely do me a favor, like it, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, you haven't done so already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything further about Sesame Place coming up. And then follow me on social media, because I'll definitely have more content for you to stick around, including maybe possibly some news that's going to be happening about what's the future for Sesame Place looking like. And that's going to be at Big Red Journeys on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So, I guess, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you here one last time at Sesame Place, and hopefully I will, knocking on some wood here, see you again here in May. Bye-bye now.